Boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys. All right, welcome to Crunch Time Sports. It is Monday, August 18th. People thought Jeff Iafrate was here today. He is not here. It is not Jeff. It is the start of a week with Booner. I don't know if someone told me, hey, it's called a week with Booner. I didn't make it up. I swear I didn't make it up. Wasn't me. But it starts early. Listen, before you go, oh no, we got Booner all week. I promise you, we have good shows playing. I see streams only. Listen, if you hate me or like me, I really do not care. I do not care if you hate me. Stick around. We'll have some good conversations. We'll argue a little bit. I usually argue with Jeff. Guess what this means? I can argue with the chat a little bit more because I get to read the chat a lot because it's solo Booner for a whole week. So I'm pumped up. I'm going to be honest with you guys too. Typically, we have one or two guests a week. I have already booked 8 or 9 guests throughout this week. Today, we have Cory Woods at 8:15. Hold on. Let me just do this. I had put together a schedule, and I sent it to the boys here. This is the guest list. And make sure as well, like the stream, all of that, share the stream, all of that. We're going to have a good week, though. Good Monday show. Today, we got Cory Woods, M Live, 8:15. Tomorrow, Tuesday, this is a big – we just have back-to-back-to-back great days. I haven't figured out, by the way. I see someone in there talking about calling in. I didn't get to figure that out. But we are covering everything this week. Get a boy once and Boo. Let me call in and talk some college football. Potentially, by the end of the week, maybe I can figure out call-ins. But we're covering everything. I have today Cory coming in at 8:15. Tomorrow, Scott Bischoff, our draft guy, one of the best in the game. He's coming at 8:30. Sean Murphy. We haven't had Sean Murphy on in a while. And you guys know me and Sean go at it a lot. We're great. I love Sean so much. We love to go at it and have a good time. So Sean Murphy, he's not just going to be on for one segment. Sean Murphy's coming on to talk Michigan football, Detroit Lions, Detroit Pistons. He'll be on at 9 o'clock tomorrow for almost the whole end of the show for about 40 minutes. Wednesday, we have the Doc Wednesday. We might have a surprise guest. Michael Gentry may join the show on Wednesday as well. That's another guest that we're going to have on, Michael Gentry, our guy. Thursday, Nolan Bianchi will be joining the show at 8:30, Detroit Lions beat reporter. Dose of Dion will be 9:15. Thursday's a pack show. I have 3 guests for Thursday. Anthony Broom, that covers Michigan football. He will be joining as well on Thursday. So you have Nolan Bianchi, Lions, Dose of Dion, Lions, and Anthony Broom, Michigan football. Friday, Michael Gentry as well might be joining the show on Friday, another guest. And Chris Castellani will be joining potentially for the whole last hour of the show on Friday. If there's any, I want to say this too. There's any guests that we've had on here that is not on that list of guests, the 8 or 9 guests, and you would like us to have them on, let me know. Put it in the chat. I'll reach out to them and we'll try and see if they're available for the times that are open. But the week of Boone will be one of the greatest things that you guys have ever seen. We'll have a great time. We'll enjoy it. Going to do a lot of different takes. We're going to do a lot of futures, college football, Lions, and college football starts this weekend. So we are going to have that conversation throughout the week. Xavier D said flannel. I don't know if we're allowed to have flannel. Micro Mike, Phil, I will reach out to Micro Mike. I don't know if we're allowed to have flannel. If we're allowed to have flannel, I would love to have flannel. But I don't know if that's a thing. Klotz does not. Trav said Klotz doesn't have a setup right now. Maybe we can have him zoom in through his phone or something. Connor Stallion, Shift God said. I like that one. I don't know how we can get in. If someone knows Connor, let me know. I actually met him once at a Michigan tailgate last year. Great dude. Should have asked him to come on the show. That's a fumble on my side. It looked like Henden Hooker out there. That's on me. I apologize to the people. That's on me. But yeah, we got Cory joining at 8:15. I want to do this. This is interesting. Imagine Connor Stallions on the show. Yeah, Connor would be great. If someone knows Connor Stallions, that would be the greatest guest of all time. I did reach out. I wanted to reach out to Tom Grassi. He's in the middle of moving. If people tune into Tom Grassi, he is in the middle right now. He is offline and he is moving his home. He's moving to Wisconsin, actually, closer to Green Bay. Good for him, man. That is sweet. AG's Burner, why are many ex-Woodward people not allowed to do content? No, I think they are. I just don't know. I don't know. We just really haven't. Obviously, we left there. You know, I don't want to get into the, you know, we won't do that. No, I love all those people anyways, my guys. Ghetto Boy wants to tell Klotz I got a setup he can have. We can meet halfway. That could be something. We'll see. We'll see. All right, no, we got Cory coming on in about 7 minutes. I was going to start the show off today. I wanted to have the conversation. I don't know if people saw today. The Trey Hendrickson stuff picked up today, and I actually had a conversation with a lot of different people. I had a couple people called me about Trey Hendrickson today. I didn't know, and I've been vocal online about the Trey Hendrickson situation, and over the last month or so, saying, "Hey, this is impossible." And I've had people reach out and actually say, "Hey, this is how it could happen. This is how it could go down." And I kind of believe it. I don't know. We will have that conversation. I was going to do it to start the show, but we're going to have Cory's going to be joining here soon. So I don't want to get into it and then have to cut it off. I think we can have a good conversation. I want to say this too, with the people who are watching and will be watching all week when it's just Booner all week and all these guests. The chat will be active. I will be using the chat a lot. Solo, I could do a solo show for sure. I want to involve the chat as much as possible. When I have, you know, we talk Trey Hendrickson, I want to see what the people think. We're going to talk, obviously, as much as Jeff. You know what? It's a perfect time to talk Henden Hooker because Jeff's not here. He doesn't have to lie to us. That's fair, you know? So we're going to talk about Henden Hooker and Kyle Allen. Dan Campbell had some stuff to say. Let me see what else I have on the rundown for today for the people. Henden Hooker, Kyle Allen. The Detroit Lions wide receiver situation, Isaac Tesla, Tim Patrick. If people didn't know, Tim Patrick was back at practice today. I've got some videos later I'm going to show you guys. And I have a lot of articles, too, we're going to go over today because at 9 o'clock, we're going to break down after the third preseason game. Pride of Detroit, the doc, everyone's put out their 53-man roster predictions. So I want to go through all of those to see what's kind of lined up. I know it's kind of crazy. Hey, let's look at multiple roster predictions. Want to see where the people lie on it. And the as well on top of that, the bubble watch. If you guys don't know, Pride of Detroit, I love how they do it too. Jeremy over there, they do a bubble watch and they have 11 writers and they have all 11 of them vote on who they believe is in or out. And they show exactly who, you know, it's like down to those 11. It's interesting to see some of the people that some of those writers put in and as well as keep out. So we have that. I do want to bring this up too. We'll do this before Cory hops on because this is actually really big news. And obviously, if you guys were tuned in with us on Saturday afternoon for the Detroit Lions game, you guys did see Ahmed Hassanein, our rookie edge rusher, did go down and get injured. Dan Campbell did announce today that it was actually a pec injury. So that doesn't sound good. I feel like here in Detroit, we have seen a million pec injuries over the last 2 years. I don't know if I'm being honest, I don't know if it has something to do with, I hate to say, because I think the training staff, you know, obviously they like him in-house, but I don't know if this pec situation, this is the third or fourth guy, it feels like in the last 2 seasons, that has gone down with a pec injury. And I'm not sure if it's something with the training or if it's just unlucky and it keeps happening, but it is just like, it's a recurring thing that's happening in this Lions locker room, it feels like. And maybe it's just something that I don't see around other franchises, that just in football in general, a pec injury happens a lot. But it's a tough one for Ahmed. I know, good dude, great dude, and I think a lot of people were expecting him to have some sort of impact. And he says, was the guy even going to make the team? JT Olsen said, Ahmed was going to make the team. He definitely was going to make the team. I think he would have been one of the last edge rushers in, but he was 100% going to make the team. That's where you run into the situation now when we do bubble watch. Obviously, they're going to have a decision to be made with Ahmed. They're not going to cut him, but it's going to be one of those situations. Do you put him on IR? Do you throw him on the pup? Like, what do you do in this situation now? You put him on the 53-man, and he's going to come back in week 1s too. No one knows, and it seems like today Dan didn't even know. I'm going to play this video of Dan Campbell kind of talking about it. It's a quick update, and as well too, this is just kind of a little injury thing. Khalil Dorsey too, if people didn't know, in my opinion, I think he's one of our best special teams players. He kind of, the level of what Germ was, Jalen Reeves Maben, That's what Khalil Dorsey reminds me of on this special teams unit. So here's Dan Campbell just talking about some of the injuries today. Ahmed, Hassanein, and Khalil Dorsey getting back to practice.
Group, some going to be down for a while. He's got a pack, and then we're going to start Khalil Dorsey. He's going to start going. We'll start today, individual, group, some of that stuff, and hopefully by the end of the week, maybe we can get him worked in a few things. I don't know if he'll play or not, but this is a step in the right direction. Getting him back.
All right. Oh, whoa! Get me back in there. All right, I'm back. Now, so you obviously heard the peck there, and I'm going to read some of the chats here. This is what we're going to be doing all week long. Mark Royal, Booner, didn't you make a bet that Ahmed would at least get 16 sacks or something like that this year? No. All right. I need to have a conversation with Jeff when he gets back next week. The man's out for a week for a reason. It's because of this bet that we have, and Henden Hooker is so bad. That's the only reason he took a whole week off. He said, Boone, I'll be there Monday. Now all of a sudden, Henden Hooker's probably going to get cut. And the man's not here today. He's not here. And we have a bet on the line that we need to figure out. So I'm going to text him. I'm going to figure out. I feel like, in the people in the chat, you could tell me or not, I feel like the bet should be voided. It's like in FanDuel, if you put a bet in, no free ads. If you put a bet in and a guy gets hurt to start the game, he doesn't even play the game. He might not even play the game. I think the bet should be voided. I think it should. Coach Walk said no. Why would the bet not be voided? He's not going to play. He never played. It should be voided. A normal sports book would void it. And by the way, too, Steve Lehman said, bros up in Arcadia golfing. Jeff and I did go to Arcadia and golf. Shout out Isaac in the chat. IB3 is his name in the chat, but he had us up to go golf in Arcadia. It was one of the most beautiful, and it was their second course. It wasn't even the main course. If you golf, got to go experience that. You got to. You have to experience it. Coach Walk said, Hooker's not hurt. No, Hooker's not hurt, but Ahmed Hassanein's hurt, and that's who the bet was for. It was for Ahmed Hassanein. So that was the bet. I had to figure out. We might have to get that thing voided. There's no way we go through with this bet if he misses like 6 games with an injury. So I hope that's not the case there. MHU, I don't even know how to say this name. They just need to sign Big Z and get it over with. The guy has even said he will take less to play for Detroit. We're going to have this conversation about the edge after Cory hops on here. Once we get Cory on, and then after we talk with Cory about some of the preseason stuff and everything that's going on in Allen Park, he was out there today, then we'll have that conversation about the edge. I want to talk Trey Hendrickson, Matthew Judon, if people didn't know, signed with the Miami Dolphins today, and that was kind of one of those pieces as well. And I want to talk about this edge room because if you guys didn't know, I was one of the people over the last month and a half that had tweeted out, and it got a lot of traction, that I felt like this was one of the deeper defensive line rooms in the NFL. Or not, it was, but could be. And since we have talked about that and had that argument, feels like everyone's gotten hurt on that D-line. So we need to figure that one out. So we're going to have that conversation here in a little bit after Cory joins the show. Booner, can we visit Jeff and Klotz at the farm? Listen, they're not at the farm, man. If you guys, hey, by the way, if you guys want to reach out to Klotz, you can hit him up on Twitter as well. And he does stuff too for our socials as well. And he'll probably be in the chat here at some point tonight. Booner, he is going to miss a lot more than 6 games. Yeah, he might miss the whole season. We don't have an update, but it just doesn't sound good. It really doesn't. Is it Darius or bust, Booner? Yeah. We're going to have this conversation here just in a little bit. We will definitely have this conversation. Streams only said, come on, Boone, don't be a homer. You could talk about the wide receiver and DB room. The D line is at 100, the thinnest on this team besides online. Yeah, no, it's turned into one of the thinnest. With Levi O, Josh Pascal, Mekhi Wingo, Ahmed Hassanein, it felt like there was a chance for it to be one of the deeper rooms. But now you have and then Lee McNeil, he's still out. Like now it's just so many guys are out that it's tough. But we will actually talk about the wide receiver and DB room as well. I'm interested to see what the people think after Saturday. A lot of different corners played well, and there's a corner battle for that last spot, in my opinion. So I am interested to see what comes out of that and kind of what happens. All right, let me see. I want to make sure send this link too, by the way. We're getting there, guys. Jackson Meeks for the 53-man. Yeah, we're going to have at 8:45, I believe it is. No, yeah, 8:45, we're going to have the wide receiver conversation. I'm interested to see Isaac Tesla. Today, Tim Patrick comes back at camp, and he was actually with the twos, it looked like, in the video that I saw. But he made plays. So he's slowly getting back, and I'm interested to see kind of how they work out this Jackson Meeks, Dominic Lovett, Isaac Tesla. There's just it's the wide receiver room is actually pretty deep, and they have dudes that can play. So it comes down to, do they want to keep 7 guys? Do you want to keep 5? Do you want to keep 6? That's what it comes down to. I had talked about last week that they ended up only keeping 4 wide receivers, and Isaiah Williams was the last. So that was kind of one of the biggest things. Deontay Moore said, Booner, do you think Nate Lynn will make the team? We're going to do bubble watching 53-man roster around 9 o'clock today. Around 9 o'clock. And I know you guys got a lot of questions here. We'll have mailbag at the end. I want to ask you guys this. We could do every day for a segment, a Detroit Lions mailbag, and I'll answer questions on how I feel about stuff if you guys want to do that. We've done it before. The last time we did Lions mailbag, not a lot of questions were asked. So if you guys want to do it this week, there is going to be the joint practices with the Texans and the Lions. I believe it's either starting tomorrow or Wednesday. I'll be out there on Thursday watching the Lions-Texans joint practice, and we'll be covering that as well. So there will be a room for a million questions. I feel like this joint practice is going to be a night and day difference from the Dolphins. This Houston Texans team is 100 times better than what they would have seen last week versus the Dolphins, especially your first-team defense and first-team offense. I know last week we were I would say we were all pretty juiced up about what this first-team offense looked like, not going up against the Lions defense. But I think this week's going to be more telling on that with the Texans first-team D-line, and that they have in that secondary. They have one of the best D-lines in the NFL and one of the best secondaries in the NFL. So this is a big test, I think, the next 2 or 3 days for this Detroit Lions squad. All right. Do you want to? Okay, Corey's coming on at 8:30. Jeff just texted me and said 8:30. That's on him. Yeah, that's on you, Jeff. I know you're watching. We's probably listening right now. That's unbelievable. All right, let's do this then. Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson for the next 10 minutes because I wanted to do that for a full 15. Now we're already 5 in while I was waiting. I see how it is. Let's talk Trey Hendrickson because if people didn't know, and we had actually tweeted this out today, and I hate seeing this tweet. And if you guys have followed me and kind of seen me on Twitter, you guys know how I feel about the Trey Hendrickson situation. One, I believe it's the dumbest thing in the world for people to actually talk about having a legit opportunity that Trey Hendrickson could be a Detroit Lion. And there's two sides to this. If you approach it a certain way and you approach it saying, hey, Brad Holmes has an opportunity, or if you're one of those people who say Brad needs to re-sign Jahmyr Gibbs, Brad needs to re-sign J-Mo, Brad needs to re-sign Sam Laporta, he needs to re-sign Brian Branch, and he needs to re-sign Aiden Hutchinson. Those 5 guys, those are the 5 guys I'm talking about. If you're one of those people that say, hey, he needs to re-sign those guys, but in the other breath of yours, you're going to sit there and say, he also needs to trade for Trey Hendrickson, or he needs to trade for Micah Parsons, you do not have a brain. Little small brain. What animal has the smallest brain in the world? Does anyone know? I do not. But that's what you have if that's the case. So that's where it kind of frustrates me a little bit, to where people actually will put out there in the same breath, they'll say, hey, Brad needs to re-sign all of these guys. But at the same side, they're like, he also needs to go get Trey Hendrickson and go all in. It is impossible. It's impossible. My mom's name is Booner. Shout out. Great name. We have $42 million in cap Boone. We got to start using some of this money. Let me break this down for you. I will break it down for you like I'm speaking with someone from the first grade who has no clue what salary cap is, what building a team looks like. I will break it down for you very easily. Are you ready? This is it. You have $42 million next year or this year. Next season, you are almost, I believe, I don't have the exact number, so don't quote me on it. You're, let's say, $40 to $60 million under the cap because of the contracts you have. On top of that, you are that far under the cap next year that you haven't even still signed Aiden Hutchinson, which is going to end up being probably a $40 million contract. You have not signed Brian Branch, which is going to be a $25 million contract. You have not signed Sam Laporta, who's going to be a $20+ million contract. I can keep going. All of that is not on the books yet. Not one of those is on the books yet. But if you go bring Trey Hendrickson in, right? That's cool. You have $40 million this year. Guess what you have to sign him to for him to even want to play for you? Because the reason what people forget, this isn't just, hey, Trey Hendrickson wants to trade. He wants to go play for a different football team. He's willing to play on his current deal. No, it's not. This is happening because he wants to get paid. He doesn't want to play another season and getting 17 sacks back-to-back seasons without getting paid. Now, if there was a world, and this is why I had a phone call with someone today. I'm sure you people know who it is, but I had a phone call with someone today. I said, listen, if there was a world where Trey Hendrickson said, hey, I will play on the current deal. I just want out of Cincinnati. I'll play for, I think, what does he have, 1 year left? Maybe 2. I think it's 1, whatever it is. Okay, I'm in. Let's get a deal done. Send 2 first. Don't send a player, but send a couple first, send a couple seconds. Go do the deal. You have a chance to win a Super Bowl then. I don't get, it's unrealistic. You're living in la la land. If that's what you genuinely think is going to happen. Now, this is the stuff that makes me a little mad too. Shout out DraftKings, man. No free ads, but they went out there and they put out a trade proposal. I'll pull it up for the people. Trade hypothetical. And I want in the chat, and listen, I put this out on our Twitter. I know it's, hey, Booner, this is the dumbest thing ever. I know. I agree. But let me tell you what, with this, you have to see where people stand and you have to be able to put this stuff out there. The Detroit Lions receive Trey Hendrickson, and the Cincinnati Bengals receive a 2nd-round pick and your green dot linebacker, Jack Campbell. This might be one of the worst trade proposals ever. I'm just going to throw it out there. There is 0% chance, if I'm being just completely honest with you guys, you move on from Jack Campbell in the next 4 or 5 years. There's a 0% chance. This is like the Mike Tannenbaum trade being like, hey, we'll give you guys Micah Parsons if you guys want to give us Brian Branch and 3 firsts. Oh, we'll give you Myles Garrett. This is Mike Tannenbaum 101. We'll give you Myles Garrett if you give us, well, who did he say? I can't even remember. Jahmyr Gibbs and 2 firsts. This is ridiculous. Streams only said Jack is tempting. No, it's not. Because let me tell you why. And this is where those you had to be smart. And there's these people that are talking about, Brad, go all in. But at the same hypothetical, you sit there and you go, okay, you let go of Jack, right? Now you're bringing Trey in, you're paying him $40 a year. You extend Hutch, you bring him $40 a year. And I say this to people all the time that want Trey Hendrickson. Someone please show me a National Football League team in the history of the league that has ever had 2 edge rushers at $40 million. Or not, I won't even say that because obviously the cap's gone up. But whatever the percentage is, the $40 million to the cap, those 2 high of a cap hits on one defensive line, one position group, with a quarterback that gets paid as much as they do, or as Jared Goff does, and if it's ever happened. Because I don't think a team's ever pulled it up or pulled it off. And today I got the examples of the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Rams. Those are teams, and I said it today with Howie Roseman, and this is why Howie's different than guys like Brad. And I brought this up, and then we're going to have, after Corey hops on, I want to continue the edge conversation because Brad Holmes with the edge thing, I do think there's a world, and you guys know me, the Booner Path, Brad Holmes Slappy. There's legit a world where I'm sitting here thinking, like, when are we all going to start saying Brad hasn't done the best job getting depth in the edge room? Because defensive tackle, he's done a good job. DJ Reed, Aleem, Tyleek, Mekhi Wingo, obviously hurt. Roy Lopez, he's figured that one out. He can't figure out the edge outside Aiden Hutchinson. He really can't. Levi O was supposed to be one of your guys. Out. Ahmed Hassanein, out. Josh Pascal hasn't practiced. Out. Marcus Davenport probably out. Where's your D line? And then people are like last year. It's like, oh, what happened? Maybe it's just because it's the guys we're bringing in. Let me pull up this text too that I sent out because the Howie Roseman. This is why Howie Roseman, in my opinion, is so great and why he always figures out how to win and keep winning. And Brad talks about sustainability. Sustainability isn't always just keeping the same players in building and being like, hey, we really love this guy. We really think this is a really good human. Let's keep him in the building. That's not sustainability. That's just, hey, we want to take care of our own. That's all that is. It's not sustainability. Paying every single player top money in the market, that's not sustainability. To me, that's where things go out the window a little bit. I think sustainability is paying the right players, guys like Aiden Hutchinson, your quarterback, your weapons, Amon-Ra, your tackles, which Howie Roseman's done all of those things, but also getting deals in the open market and free agency. I had sent the text out today, Howie Roseman in the edge room this year. He got Azeez Ojulari, 6 sacks last year. He got him for $3 million. He got him cheaper, I think, than Levi Onwuzurike. Josh Uche, under $2 million. I believe they brought another edge in recently as well for under $2 or $3 million. And he's done this consistently every year. He doesn't go out and pay. If he had an Aiden Hutchinson, I'm sure he would pay him. But like, why didn't he pay Josh Sweat? Because that's not how you sustain, man. That's where I think people forget with Brad or get a little too in on Brad when it comes to that D-line room. And I love Brad. I think Brad's done a great job building this team. I do think there's a world though where we have to start having this conversation about this D-line room. I really do. And if he doesn't go out and get us a Darius, and today, obviously, if people didn't see Matthew Judon to the Miami Dolphins, that one right there is a big one. Because it's not that he just signed for 1 year, $12 million. That was a 1 year, $6 million deal. $6 million. You guys don't think, and whoever put it in there earlier, hey, Booner, we have $40 million this year. Okay, I'm with you on that. Obviously, we don't have $40 million next year. My mom's name is Booner. That was the one that said it. We don't have $40 million next year, but Josh Uche 1 year deal, Azeez Ojulari 1 year deal, Matthew Judon 1 year deal. All Judon $6 million. These other two guys $3 million. Telling me that you guys want to? He did Levi a 1 year deal. The man's hurt and he's getting paid for a year just to recover. I'll go to the training room for a year for a couple mil. I'll do it. I really will. So I don't know. I think it's a good conversation to have. I think a lot of people need to have that conversation a little bit more. I think that's the one position group on this Lions team that the question does need to come up, and we need to talk about that. But all right, let's bring in our guest here. I'm pumped up. It is a solo Booner show today, and it's solo Booner show for the whole week. It is just me, and we're kicking the week off with one of my favorite guests personally, beat writer from M Live, Detroit Lions beat writer, good friend of the program. Let me stop sharing this screen real quick. Cory Woods. Cory, how are we doing?
What's the deal? How's it going?
It's going good. It's good to see you, Cory. I'm solo this week, so no Jeff.
Oh yeah, I seen it. This is different. Flying solo. Hope it all goes well.
I appreciate it. It's a full week. I've never done a full week of it. I've done a couple days, but a week is that's a different monster. I'll figure it out though. We'll have a good time. I'm pumped up though to have you. Cory, can we just start off by this preseason game? I just want to get right into like just the meats and potatoes of this whole thing, the quarterback 2 battle. Can I ask you where you're at with the Henden Hooker, Kyle Allen stuff? This is something that we have, like, Jeff and I have gone back and forth with a lot, and it felt like Kyle Allen, he started slow, played well, and then Henden Hooker started slow, played well. I'm interested in where you think kind of this whole thing's kind of how this thing's playing out right now. And there's only a week left too of preseason. So it's like, hey, the finish line's coming up. Is there still a chance for Hendon Hooker to get QB2, or is it kind of just the Kyle Allen show, or do they need to go out and get someone else? Where are you at with that?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it So honestly, this QB situation is going exactly how I have seen it gone the entire training camp. I've seen Hendon Hooker at the start of the training camp have some solid flashes, solid moments. Looked like he had some promise to get that QB2 role. But overall, I've always just felt that from what I've seen in camp, I always felt like Kyle Allen was the more composed quarterback. He looked better in the pocket, better with his decision making, with his accuracy, his who he chose to get the ball to. And, like I said, Hendon has some spots, but it's going just the way I thought it would. I thought in that one preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, wasn't Kyle Allen's best showing. Things look a little bit clunky, but again, you're talking about July football. I think they were just trying to go out there and get some of the kinks out the way. But over those last two games, the Falcons won, the Dolphins won. I mean, it looks clear that Kyle Allen is the choice. And even Dan Campbell just came out and said it. So where I'm at with it is that Kyle Allen has to be the immediate backup to Goff right now, but at the same time, it's an interesting situation where the Lions are in because you invested so much to get Hooker. You traded up to get the guy, and it's just not working out. So I mean, if you put this guy on the practice squad, somebody can sign him away. If you release him, there's no guarantee he'll try to sign him. So let's just say you try to release him and then sign him to the practice squad. No guarantee he'll do that. And then if you even put him on the practice squad, somebody will sign him away from you just because they can. And then on top of it, what's the trade market for him? It's not really that high. Like me and Ben Raven talked about it on the Dungeon Doom podcast. Maybe a conditional 7th round pick, maybe, but I mean, from that, would you give up any draft capital from Hooker? It is just, and again, there's no disrespect against him. It's just off of what we're seeing on the field. So they're in an interesting situation. I thought that if he were able to lead them on that game tying drive, game winning drive, something we're able to kind of shake in his direction, he might have been able to give himself a fighting chance in his last week, but I don't know. I think that right now the Lions have to keep their options open as far as looking elsewhere for a QB2, because even though Kyle Allen is in that leader role for that spot, do you still really feel confident about him in there? And you got guys out there like Jameis Winston who could become available, because I don't see the Giants carrying 3 quarterbacks. I mean, I guess Russell Wilson's going to be a starter. Jackson Dart's going to take over at some point, maybe later this season or next. So, I mean, do you go out and go get a Jameis Winston who has a relationship with that Dan Campbell? I was shocked that Teddy Bridgewater went to the Buccaneers so quickly after returning. So it's an interesting situation. I don't think there's anything Henden Hooker can do this week to pull even with Allen, but at the same time, it's like, do you want to go into the season with Allen as the immediate backup?
Yeah, that's how I kind of had that thought process as well. I've been kind of pushing out there to get a vet quarterback. It feels like I like the Jameis Winston one. I tweeted that out a couple times where it feels like that should be a high priority.
I was on Jameis Winston the whole offseason. People were saying, "Oh, he does this, he does that." Look, he's a more mature quarterback now. You're putting him up behind still a good offensive line with a lot of weapons. I mean, the hope is that he never has to play, because that would mean that something happened to Goff. But in the event that he had to, I believe Jameis could steady the ship.
Hey, I want to also ask you just a different position group still on the offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver kind of battle that's going on right now. You've been around the camp, around this whole camp. And I remember last year, I brought up last week that last year they only kept 4 wide receivers, and the 4th being Isaiah Williams at the time, before they ended up, I think they at some point cut him and he got picked up, and then they brought Tim Patrick in. What do you think? How do you think this thing plays out? Because I think this is one of the most interesting parts of the camp, is the fact that they have Jackson Meeks and Dominic Lovett that are essentially battling for that spot. And I've seen some sites do 7 wide receivers on their 53-man predictions. I've seen 6. And personally, Cory, when we did our 53-man, I just did 5. And I almost want to add a 6'4" Jackson Meeks, but I just did Tesla being that last one, Tim Patrick, Khalif, and then obviously J-Mo and Amon-Ra, just based off of what they usually keep. Do you think that they end up doing that 6 or 7 receivers on this roster, or do you see them kind of going 5 so they have more depth at, offense line, D line, and kind of that way?
I see them going 6 wide receivers. That was my prediction. And just off of the camp that he's had, I believe you have to go with Jackson Meeks. I know people are going to say Dominic Lovett, they drafted him, but love it. He hasn't really had the production that Meeks has had. I mean, you're talking back-to-back weeks of this guy leading the team in receiving yards and getting a touchdown. The scrappiness that he showed in camp, I knew at some point, if given the chance, it would show up in the game, and it has. I think that for this week, what I want to see is if they're going to be able to work in Dominic Lovett and get some balls thrown his way and see him on the special team to kind of give himself a chance. I mean, he did had a great play on the fumble the fumble that happened on the special team. So that was a bright spot for him. But I mean, Meeks he's wide receiver, but he has that big body like a tight end, and I just don't see how, with the production that he's had over those last 2 games, and if it shows up again this week versus the Texans, I don't see how you can put Lovett over him. I mean, the guy is just playing lights out.
Yeah, and what about Corey? This was the crazy thing I started seeing today with the wide receiver stuff. There were people on Twitter, and you of all people probably understand how crazy it gets on Twitter or X. A lot of people start questioning, like, hey, is there a chance he gets cut because he's been injured or he gets moved? But I know he was back today. I saw the post that they put out there of him making a play. Is there over 0% chance that Tim Patrick's job, just because he's a vet and a little bit older, in jeopardy with what's going on in that room?
I don't think Tim Patrick's status on this team is at jeopardy at all. I believe that when they do make those decisions for a wide receiver, Tim Patrick will be there. He has not had the camp that you would have liked, and he even said that himself. But I mean, this is a veteran guy who has showed up at moments for them last year, and I believe once he gets himself really going, that he will be a valuable piece at some point throughout the season. Hopefully this will be a really good week for him, and he has a good showing in the joint practices, and is able to kind of like get himself going ahead of week 1 versus Green Bay. But I would be really shocked to see if they got rid of Tim Patrick, because on top of everything else that he can do once he gets himself going, he's a really great locker room guy, and the team and his teammates love him. So I believe that he's a guy that they're going to keep. If he were not a part of the 53-man roster, that would be very shocking.
Okay, I've had the same thought. I just kept seeing that today. I was actually shocked when I started seeing some tweets about that. I was taken aback a little bit. What about the Ahmed Hassanein entry came out today, the PEC? What are your thoughts on this edge room now, especially with some of the depth that they're trying to see what they have in preseason? I felt like I put a tweet out about a month and a half ago that I felt like if this room was healthy, it could have been one of the deepest D lines in the NFL. And then all of a sudden, Levi O's down. Obviously, Aleem's out for a while. Makai's a little bit longer. The Ahmed situation, and it just feels like things are kind of falling apart a little bit. What are your thoughts on this room? Do you think Brad ends up going out, adding some more pieces, and as a Darius, hopefully?
Well, yeah, the Ahmed situation is really unfortunate. I don't know how much he would have been featured out the gate. Maybe it might have kind of come along somewhere mid-season. I mean, I know a lot of fans really high on him, but I don't think this was a guy that was going to come out the gate and having a major impact role. But again, you're like you said, you're still talking about depth that is missing. So with Judon heading to the Dolphins today, I would be very shocked if Za'Darius was not a phone call away before this training camp ends, just to go ahead and get him in practice and get him some reps, because they need the bodies. I mean, it's just that simple. And you don't want to, I know sometimes veterans, sometimes they don't want to report the camp, but I think you want to get this guy in here for at least a couple of weeks of work before you get to Green Bay. Brad Holmes said that they've been in constant contact with his agent. And I mean, hey, I think I put it out earlier. I said, hey, right now might be the time to go ahead and send that, hey, big head text. What you got going on? And that's it. I mean, we don't have to sound like the smartest person in the room. Make the call.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought, would you just, if the price was the issue, do you think if you're Brad, you would just, hey, whatever you need at this point, just after this Ahmed injury, you're sitting there going, we need another edge rusher. It feels like a little desperate, in my opinion. You should do it, I feel like. Do you think that he would just hire the price at that point?
Well, here's the problem that I have with it. I think they should have gotten it done earlier. If both sides wanted it, if both sides wanted it, it should have gotten done earlier. But if it was more so, on Zadarius not wanting to, okay, I understand it. But right now, I mean, he has them if he wants to play the, pay me more game, he really could, because whether they want to admit it or not, the Lions are in a desperate situation. Yes, they do have some guys that are, having some very strong camps, Nate Lynn. Those are guys that I expect to, possibly, make this roster. But you still need a guy like Zadarius. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. We got company again. But yeah, you definitely need to go out and go get that guy and just kind of like get him in the room. You don't want to overpay though, because at the end of the day, like Brad said, there is still a bill due. So you don't want to do anything, astronomical out of anything too ridiculous. But I mean, you need the guy, go get him. It's no-brainer situation to me.
Yeah, I want to ask you, just kind of finish last Saturday off, was there anyone else that kind of stood out to you? I know there was a couple guys in the secondary that stood out. Was there any specific players that you saw in that game versus the Dolphins that you liked kind of pushing their ticket forward to get a spot on the squad?
I think Zach Cunningham already has a spot on this squad. I mean, he kind of floundered a little bit throughout the way, but I mean, you still see him play with that tenacity and his hair on fire. Again, a guy I just mentioned, Nate Lynn. I think there's a place for him on this team. Guys like Avonte Maddox. I believe that he's already solid. I want to see what's going to happen with Nick Whiteside, if he's going to be able to kind of turn things up later on this week and versus the Texans to kind of cement himself a role on this team. But those are a couple of the guys I'm looking at. Also, Grand Valley State product, Ian Kennelly. What is he going to be able to do to go ahead and really cement his spot? I know Dan Jackson. What we all know what's going on with him. So those are a couple of guys that I'm looking at. And this is going to be a make or break week, because one joint practice, preseason game, and then it's cut day.
Yeah, it's a big week. That's what I want to ask you about, because the joint practices with the Texans. I was saying earlier in the show, this feels like a step up from the Dolphins. The Dolphins aren't the best team in the NFL, but this Texans team, especially defensively, they have one of the best D lines, secondaries. What are you looking for the next couple of days? Does it start, by the way, tomorrow, or is it Wednesday, Thursday that they come in?
It's Thursday. They have one.
Thursday. Okay. Yeah. So what are you going to be looking for there? I'm going to be at camp there, so I'll probably see you there. What are you going to be looking for in that joint practice when it comes, not even just like the end of roster guys, but even the first team guys?
Well, obviously I want to see how this offense is going to be clicking under John Morton. Like you said, they're going up against a better defense. So I want to see how that pressure is going to be, for that offensive line. It's a new unit. So I want to see how they're going to be able to stop some of those guys coming up there and protect Goff. I want to see here's really one thing that I'm looking at. I'm curious to see if Tesla is going to get any run with the first team this week. That has been a big thing, because this guy is also somebody that's had a strong camp, and with Tim Patrick out, I think he's really making a push to possibly be wide receiver 3. Really probably could still end up being wide receiver 4, but I believe he's making a push for it. And so I want to see him with the ones. And that's kind of just really where I'm looking at, because everything else is pretty much solidified. And of course, we're going to be looking at the QB battle, the backup quarterback battle, to see, how that's going to happen. But when those first teams going out against each other, I want to see, obviously, again, like I said, how this pass protection looks. I'm already confident in how that run game is going to look. And then on the defensive side of things, I want to see how that D line is going to look. Like you said, some pieces are missing. And how are they going to be? I want to see how Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport are going to be able to go ahead and get after CJ Stroud and those guys. So those are my key things, because again, this Texans team is not the Dolphins.
Yep. I feel like we're going to get a lot of answers the next couple of days on Thursday and then Saturday. So I'm excited to see what happens Thursday. I'll be out there. Corey, I appreciate you hopping on. A solo day for me. I appreciate you joining and helping me out here.
Hey, no problem. You need me, ring the horn, and good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Corey. All right. Cory Woods, M Live. Hey, shout out. Corey has a lot of good stuff to say, especially that man is in the building every single day. He's there today. He's going to be there all week, covering them. I'm excited to see, like Corey said, how this Texans situation, it's only 1 day, which I didn't know. I thought it was maybe multiple days. It's a 1 day thing. So I'm interested to see how this thing works out. I do want to real quick. Jeff isn't here. So you know what? I have to run. We have some bills to pay. I will run today's ad. Let me see if I can figure this out. Hold on. You guys see me? Let me get this ad real quick and we'll get right back into some Lions football. Comer and Cross, though, guys. Are you guys tired of staring at your cracked, stained garage floors, or worse, is it peeling epoxy or chipping paint, making your whole garage look neglected? Right now, during the Comer and Cross summer installation sale, they're offering 12 months, same as cash, or $500 in savings. Why put off getting your new Comer and Cross concrete floor with 12 months, same as cash, or $500 off? The number is 248-834-3488. Again, they repair your cracks and pits before applying stunning new floors. Guaranteed. Comer and Cross concrete floors never chip, crack, or peel like epoxy or paint. Give these guys a call, 248-834-3488. Again, 248-834-3488, or book your free estimate at ComerCross.com. That's Comer and Cross, baby. Shout out to Comer and Cross. Shout out to people over there. It's unbelievable. Go check them out. Show them some love. Tell them Crunch Time Sports sent you. We're going to keep this thing rolling here. We're going to talk. We were talking the edge room. I kind of want to finish up a little conversation with the edge room. I don't know if the people want to have this continue this conversation, but Cory actually brought it up as well with the Za'Darius thing. And listen, Matthew Judon today signs for $1 year, $6 million. And I want to bring this video up because I don't think a lot of people actually saw this today. I might have been one of the few right when it came out. I saw it, and it made me just think instantly of this whole Trey Hendrickson, Za'Darius Smith. Because if you guys didn't see the Dan Campbell press conference this morning, he was asked about it. Hey, what are you guys going to do at edge? And he said, hey, Brad is on it. He's figuring this thing out. When I hear that our GM is on it and he's figuring this thing out, I would expect, in my opinion, listen, I've been doing this 4 or 5 years. I haven't been doing 20 years. But in my 4 or 5 years, when a GM says something like that, they're probably going to make a move. There's probably something incoming. Now, the depth of it, how big of a move is it? We've seen sometimes Brad Holmes make moves of guys from the UFL, which, again, some of them are good. But we've seen him make minor moves when major things happen. Instead of, hey, major things happen, making major moves to stay Super Bowl contenders, right? That's where, with this whole conversation, Brad Holmes today was on the Kay Adams show. And she actually, and shout out to Kay Adams, because not a lot of people do it, she straight up essentially just said, what's going on with Trey Hendrickson? She didn't say Trey Hendrickson, but she said, hey, there's a guy out there with back-to-back 17 sack seasons. What are you thinking? I was shocked by Brad Holmes' answer, because typically Brad would just be like, yeah, we're not really looking at. He didn't say no. Brad Holmes didn't say no when he was asked about Trey Hendrickson and adding edge rushers. So I think he is out there genuinely looking. I'll let you guys listen to this. Get a feel whatever you want for it, however you want to take this. We'll talk about it here in just a second. So here's Brad Holmes on edge rushers.
Mm-hmm. You have been known sort of to build your team through the draft.
Yeah.
But you come from that FM picks,
Yeah,
Sneedy vibe.
absolutely.
There is a window here.
Yep.
Any thoughts on adding?
Yeah, I mean, we're always staying open-minded, and again, we're always going to do the best thing for the organization. But that was me and Dan's vision and plan from the get-go, is build through the draft, like you said. These guys here that are coming up next, but and that's why we've been able to stay consistent, is building through the draft. But no, we're not scared. Like, I learned a lot from Les Snead and
I'm just wondering if you're like clearly waiting for your moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a time to strike, and if it comes, we have never, I don't think we've shown a time where we've been scared to really do something or make a move, but it's always going to be just calculated, and there's got to be a little bit of strategy behind it.
Back-to-back 17+ sack seasons interesting to you, Brad?
Well, I mean, sacks are good.
An
obviously.
Edge potentially.
Yeah.
The world wants to know.
Sacks are good.
Sacks are good.
We have a pretty good one now.
There we go. We love to hear it.
All right. You guys heard the man. And I want to address too, streams only said, "Oh, stop, Booner. This is the same answer every time." That's wrong. That's wrong, because the following comment here, I'm just glad Brad acknowledged that there is a window. Is that the first time we've ever heard Brad actually say, yeah, there's a window? I don't think Brad's ever said it. Every time Brad's asked about the window, he goes, we're building through the draft for long-term success, you know? We're building for long-term success. That's all we get out of Brad. This was the first time I think publicly we've actually heard Brad give like an actual, hey, there is a window. We understand there's a window. In the fact, in that same sentence, he goes, we are out there looking. Like we are ready to strike. The only thing I disagree with Brad is Brad says we are always aggressive. Or maybe not in those terms, I don't think he said, but he did bring up this comment of we make those types of moves. We're not afraid to. You have been afraid to. They have been afraid to. We know it. Let's just be honest about it. I think too, by the way, let me pull this back up. Am I crazy? I think Brad Holmes almost knocked himself out with the mic.
This thing is building to the draft.
Am I the only one that saw that?
Coming up next, but and that's why we've been able to stay consistent.
This man almost knocked himself out with the mic.
But no, we're
Where's
not
it at?
scared. Like, you know, I learned a lot from Lesson E. And
No, I'm just wondering if you're like clearly waiting for your moment.
For the organization.
He knocked himself out.
Dan's vision and plan.
Am I crazy?
Was built through the draft, like you said. These guys
right there
was built through the draft, like you said. These
bang.
Guys
yeah.
Okay. All right. We didn't need to do that. That's on me. He knocked himself out with the mic. I'm over here. There we go. I just had to put that up there. He almost knocked himself out. No, that's my whole thing though with this Edge thing is, hey, he needs to go make a move. You need to go make a move. And if Za'Darius isn't a Detroit Lion by the end of this week, I officially, and I've been the one that's saying, I genuinely had like an 80% chance that Za'Darius was going to be a Detroit Lion. If he is not by Friday, I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried because you just saw Matthew Judon sign for $6 million. If Judon signed for $6 million, you should be able to get a deal done. The fact you didn't even, if Za'Darius does not become a Detroit Lion, if you didn't pursue Matthew Judon, that's a problem. That's the problem. Steve Lehman, Brad isn't the type to go all in though. I think there is a world in the NFL, whether you disagree or agree, where you can go all in and have sustained success. I really do. We've seen it. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles have been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 6 or 7 years. Won 1. Are they slowing down anytime soon? I think Howie Roseman might be the best example of going all in and sustained success. The best. Howie Roseman, like he should write a tutorial on how to do it. He knows exactly how to do it. And he does it every summer. I feel like every week you see the Eagles add another piece to their team. They just went and traded for John Mechie. They constantly are figuring things, are looking to find ways to have sustained success and as well go all in. Always. And it's about using those dollars, those 1 or 2 year deals. When I had that conversation today with someone about them, that was my point that I brought up was, hey, Brad in-house will give $1 or $2 million out to guys like Levi O, Josh Pascal, Marcus Davenport, guys that haven't produced it yet in the NFL, but he will refuse to go out and get guys like Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, guys who have produced in the NFL for the same price. So that's the problem that I kind of run into, and it's an interesting thing to me. We'll get off this though, this Edge thing. It's the Edge conversation. I mean, we have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. I'm being negative. I shouldn't be doing this on the start of a week with Booner. I shouldn't. We need to get a graphic for that as well. Let's do this. Let's switch it up a little bit. Shout out IB32. Shout out Isaac, man. Having the boys out yesterday golfing. It was a fun round. We got to get back out there and play the other course out at Arcadia Bluffs. It was a great time. Shout out to Isaac though for having the fellas out there. Terrell LV said picking up a free agent edge or making one trade for a player isn't mortgaging the future. If Brad is so great, he can do what Les Snead did and keep the team competitive. That's kind of my point, because I think Howie Roseman has done that to a T over the last 5 or 6 years. When they've been to the 2 Super Bowls, I think the Eagles, not even 2 Super Bowls, 3. 1, 2 or 3 out of the 3 of them. But when they've gone to those Super Bowls, like they have found a way to stay competitive and continue to be in Super Bowl windows. They have. It's about who are you signing? Who are you spending the money on? I've said it a million times. One of the worst contracts on this football team, you could hate this or not. Aleem McNeil as the third highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL is one of the most ridiculous contracts in the NFL to me. That's it. Like, it's not a good contract. It's such a bad deal. Aleem hasn't played like a top 10 defensive tackle in the last 2 seasons, and you paid him the third highest in the NFL. The third highest. And then when you want to talk about, well, we have to pay other guys. Our edge situations messed up. We can't afford a Matthew Judon for a year. We can't afford Azeez Ojulari. Yeah, you can. Don't pay outrageous money. You're paying Aleem $20+ million. How are you going to pay Brian Branch? I would rather have not paid Aleem and let him walk and be able to pay Brian Branch and Kirby, or to be able to go out and get more edge rushers. I would. I'm sorry. Sue me for it. I don't care. Who said, what was this? MC3. Let me ask, is it the amount you hate or signing him at all? I would have signed him. I would not have signed him as a top 3 defensive tackle in the NFL when he hasn't even played like a top 10 one. And you're signing him for potential, and then he gets hurt. And yes, it just feels like everyone you sign gets hurt. But we're signing, like, Amon-Ra, you paid him. Why did you pay him? Because he produced. He's an all-pro wide receiver. Jared Goff, why did you pay him? Because he was an MVP candidate and he can show that he can win games. Penei Sewell, why? Oh, he's an all-pro tackle. Kirby Joseph, why did Kirby Joseph become the highest paid safety? Because he's an all-pro safety. He led the NFL in interceptions. Oh, well, why'd you make Aleem McNeil a top 3 highest paid defensive tackle? Well, he might be good one day. What type of deal is that? What type of deal is that? Seriously. Silent Service, you're a good podcast. You're a podcaster, not a GM. I thought it said good there. I was going to take the compliment. No compliment. I appreciate it still. Yeah, I'm not a GM. If I could be a GM, I bet you I would do a decent job at it. Maybe that's just me boosting myself up. But Silent Service, if you look at the deal, it's not a good deal. It's a fact. It's a fact. Super Bowl Wilson, sacks aren't the only thing that makes a top defensive tackle. Aleem does a lot of elite levels. He does. Great run stopper. Gets to the quarterback, puts pressure on. Okay, he doesn't do it better than 10 other guys at his position, but he gets paid the third highest. I would love to get paid as the third highest guy in sports media in the state of Detroit. I'm probably not top 10. Is someone going to pay me that much? I would hope so. Maybe Jeff Iafrate would get me a deal like that. Maybe Brad Holmes would. I don't know. That's the problem with Brad right now, though, in this edge room. And now you have Ahmed Hassanein that's hurt. It's tough, man. It's tough. All right. I see. Shout out Jeff is in the chat here. Shout out Honcho as well, my guy. My guy Logan's in the chat. All right. Let's change. We got the last hour here. I want to start talking. I've got a lot of different segments here that I had today. I probably won't get to all of them, but I do want to talk about the backup quarterback situation. I know a lot of people love this whole thing with Hendon Hooker, Kyle Allen. Listen, I'm going to start it off by saying this very clearly. I want Jameis Winston. I want a veteran quarterback, not just Jameis. Go get a veteran quarterback that can come in. I don't care about Kyle Allen or Henden Hooker. We have to have the conversation. Want to show you guys here post-game after Saturday night what was said. Dan Campbell said, Corey actually kind of hinted at it, where Dan was asked about the backup quarterback positions. I'm going to play a few minutes of the press conference. There was about 3 or 4 questions back to back to back that Dan answered in regards to the quarterback position. And it's an interesting thing. And a lot of people are starting to have this conversation. Well, do you cut Hooker? Do you keep Henden Hooker as a third? I think this is one of the biggest weeks of his career. And by the way, too, Super Bowl Wilson, we could keep talking defense. When we have a top 3 defense this year, I'm going to remind you all how little you know about ball. Super Bowl Wilson, I'll let me remind you something real quick. If you watch the show, sounds like you don't. I've been saying for a month that this is a top 5 Detroit Lions. This Detroit Lions defense will be top 5 in the NFL. So you're not showing anyone anything. You must listen and then take my takes. That's what it sounds like, Super Bowl Wilson. I appreciate that. they will have a top 5 defense. They would have had a top 5 defense with or without Aleem McNeil, but with Aleem McNeil might make it top 3. Or if you paid Aleem less and you still have Brian Branch the next couple of years, I mean, it's just it's how that stuff works out, man. But all right, back to the backup quarterback. Sorry. And Nick P said, Boone, you literally waited to see Jeff in here to talk about Henden Hooker. Listen, that was a coincidence. That was a coincidence. I swear. Let me look at the prep real quick. The prep was Cory. Right after Cory, Detroit Lions preseason game, quarterback 2 situation. That's all. That was a coincidence. I didn't do that on purpose. But I want to play the press conference here. It's a couple minutes. Stick around. This is going to be Dan Campbell kind of talking about what's going on with this Detroit Lions quarterback 2 position. He was asked about Hendon Hooker. He was asked about Kyle Allen. There's about 2 or 3 questions. And then we'll talk about it, break it down a little bit. I'll tell you guys kind of how I feel about it because I do have some opinions on this one. So here is Dan Campbell speaking on the backup quarterback position.
Ball again.
Dan, Kyle Allen has been looking like the same player that was really tearing it up early in training camp. What's your confidence level at with him when he's able to go from practice to the games and look like the same player?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty confident. I mean here we go. This is the second week in a row, you know, in a competitive setting here that he's moved the football for us and made critical throws at critical times. I thought the 2-minute drill at the end was awesome right before half. I mean that was. You know, he's got really good command of the offense. He communicates very clearly. He doesn't get frazzled. He doesn't worry about anything. You know, if he does something that isn't quite right or he makes a mistake, like he doesn't get frazzled. He's on to the next play, which all of us appreciate that. So, you know, he's done a good job. I do have faith in him.
It looks like he's taken kind of the lead in the competition between him and Hooker. Do you agree with that? And how do you assess Hooker's game?
Yeah, well, we just continue to work with Hooker. You know, I think right now we'll talk about it tomorrow, but I'd like to get him some more reps next week. I'm talking about Hooker. You know, I mean, we're going to give him both reps, but maybe we might start him out again. You know, for that game and let him go with that unit. So, you know, Hooker. What I did like that 2-minute at the end. I thought that was good. It took him a while to get going, but once we got in an end-of-game setting, I appreciated the fact that. Yes, we got to score. Yes, we're under 2 minutes, but the ball went where it was supposed to by coverage. He didn't try to force anything. He was in it. He's calmed everything down enough to know that man, we don't have to force it. Just take what's there. Let the players do the rest of the work for you. And then, you know, that's it's one of those things that happen at the end of the game. That's tough. You know, he's going to throw it and the kid makes a play over there. And has tough circumstances.
I'm sorry, it almost feels like it's Kyle's job to lose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing better. So I would say that right now, if you're saying if you had to go in with the 2 right now, who would you trust more? Yeah, I would trust Kyle more because he's proven more after these 2 games. But we're still going to coach Hooker up. We're still going to see what's there and see if we can get him better. I mean, we still got a little bit here.
And can you explain what you're doing with the cornerbacks? It seems like you want to get
all right,
those guys.
You guys heard it there with Dan and Henden Hooker, Kyle Allen. Obviously, and the kind of the quote with it was, I would trust Kyle Allen more to be the backup quarterback at the moment. I don't see, and I said it last week, guys, I just don't see a world. And you know what? They might do it. They might keep him just to keep developing him. And Cory brought up a good point, just where if you cut Henden Hooker, there's a chance he gets picked up. There's probably 0 trade value for Henden Hooker. I see MC3 Who Dat put their shop in Henden Hooker. I don't think you can shop Henden Hooker. I don't think there's any, and it's nothing against Henden Hooker. There's no trade value for a guy like that who is in year 3, he's 27 years old. And really with that, he hasn't showed much, to be honest. And when you're talking about, well, in practice, he's shown development. Well, when you're shopping a guy, you can call a GM all you want on the phone and say, hey, man, like, he's been good in practice. Okay, prove it, you know? And where's the game film? And then in the game, you're not getting much out of him, right? And I think people fail to realize, and MC3 Who Dat said that's what the doc speculated. Listen, I feel like this is what people fail to realize sometimes is, yeah, it's easy to say, hey, they're shopping him. But with Henden Hooker, that if you go trade for him, like that's a spot on your 53-man roster. Why would you waste if you're another team? Like, is there an upside to it? The Titan, like you have Cam Ward. Like, think about the bad teams in the NFL. Is there anyone that's willing to take a shot? Is there 52nd, 53rd man to keep Henden Hooker? I don't think so. I don't think it's worth it. Like, is there a positive that would make you think they would shop a guy like that or be able to shop a guy like that? There hasn't been one positive besides, hey, he started off camp good. That's it. He hasn't done anything else. His stock has fallen completely. And I would be shocked, honestly, if you don't cut Henden Hooker. I really would. I said it last week that I think you need to cut him and move on. You're past that developmental stage. You're past all of that. You know, at this point, like some guys in the NFL, you can have all the talent in the world. They just don't make it. It's hard. It was a vanilla offense in Tennessee. Probably knew a little bit, but coming in with the Ben Johnson offense, and it really wasn't a Ben Johnson offense. We've heard about this before, but it was more so just the Detroit Lions offense that Ben and John Morton and Dan built that's a little more complex, and he's struggled to be able to figure this thing out. He really has. So I'm fine, and I would like to see in the chat, you guys drop whether you guys are okay with cutting Henden Hooker. There are some people who are still on the side of you want to keep developing him. I don't know how long of a chance you're going to, or how long of a leash you're going to give a guy like that, especially at that position. And you got a guy like Kyle Allen who, as Jeff always said, well, he's thrown for 18 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 20 picks in his career. And then he's also beating Hendon Hooker out. Cut him. Move on. I would rather, and Andrew Jones, great point, cut Hooker to add Meeks. If you keep Hendon Hooker and you end up cutting a guy like Jackson Meeks or Dominic Lovett and they end up getting picked up, it's a bad mistake. That was what I was talking about last week when we were talking about the 53-man roster, is when you look at guys getting cut, it's not always who's the best player at the end of the roster. Yes, they keep the best players, but you're also navigating, hey, who do we think is going to get picked up and we want to keep him on the practice squad? I would rather cut Hendon Hooker and keep one of those wide receivers than keep Hendon Hooker, cut one of those pretty good wide receivers and lose them. And I don't think people look at it like that. I really don't. That's how it should be looked at. I would rather cut Hendon Hooker than cut one of those D linemen when you need the depth. And one of them potentially could get picked up. And you need that. You need that depth. We've seen it. That's the one that I run into a little bit. So, listen, I'm kind of out on the Hendon Hooker stuff. We saw Kyle Allen, and the thing with Kyle Allen is he did have, and if you guys were watching Saturday, he did have a couple plays where he did have some overthrows. But with that, he ends up having basically 3 straight drives that were just very good. And then he had a 2-minute drill to go score a touchdown with Tim, or with I believe the touchdown at the end, or the end of the first half, was the Isaac Tesla one. I could be wrong. But yeah, so all right, let's move on from that. Let's talk about the wide receiver room real quick, because I do want to get people's opinion, and I want you guys to do this right now in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Shout out Anakin joining, ETN. I think I saw ETN. I see Xavier D put ETN in there. Shout out to the fellas joining. I want to put this. I want the chat to start dropping some things here. Question: We're talking this wide receiver room now. How many wide receivers do you expect the Detroit Lions to keep? And if so, who are the last few to make the roster? I asked Cory this question. Cory said 6, and he said Jackson Meeks is the 6. And I know last week I had thrown out there that I said 5, and I think Tesla is the last one. I think after Saturday night's performance or afternoon's performance, I might be all in on Jackson Meeks. All in. All in. I've got a couple stats here that I saw. He was the highest graded Detroit Lions offensive player per PFF with a 90.7 overall grade. And in his last 2 games for the preseason, outside of take the Hall of Fame game out where I think he had 1 catch, 5 yards, I don't know the production that they gave him. Like, I don't know the targets that he had, but I know for sure the last 2 weeks. And you know what actually I think hurt? I think Dominic Lovett, when he got hurt in that second preseason game, I think Jackson Meeks got a little bit more of a role and an opportunity, and he took advantage of it. And then that led into this last week where he comes out and has 10 catches for 171 yards the last 2 weeks weeks 2 and 3 of the preseason. He had 10 catches and 171 yards. That's, to me, it's hard. It is really hard to not be able to say, hey, we need to keep this guy. Especially if this week's, and Dan actually had the conversation post-game. Someone asked him about Jackson Meeks. Dan comes out and goes, that's a guy tomorrow morning in our meetings we're having a lot of conversations about because he's going to make it tough on us, which I like that. Let me pull up a couple of these. Lance E says 6. Burning Issue says 6. MC3 Who Dat said 6. Meeks in. Love it out. It's crazy to me, guys, and this is the NFL world that you live in. It's crazy that you got Jackson Meeks on a UDFA out of Syracuse, and you got Dominic Lovett in the 7th round, and there's a chance you're cutting your draft pick and keeping your UDFA. And I know it's close because it's 7th round, so it was like pick your poison. But I think that's still that's crazy, man. U of M Dad said 6. Ted E said Patrick is the last guy in. I want to have that conversation with you guys. I asked Corey about it in just a minute. 6 wide receivers if they cut Hooker. 6 Meeks being the last one in. Ted E said 6 is way too many. I thought the same thing, Teddy, but when you break down the 53 man and actually look at it, 6 does make a little bit of a sense. Xavier D said 6 if Meeks can play special teams. Silent Service said we have only kept 5. So last year we kept 4. Cut Isaiah Williams, I believe, kept and then brought Tim Patrick in. Cartier said 5 and Meeks protected practice squad. I don't know. Is there something with that? I don't know if that's a thing. 6 is way too many. You need depth at the O-line and D-line. That's why you cut Henden Hooker. How many? What else do we have here? Silent Service, 5. All right. Anakin said 6. J-Rod said 6. And Nick P said, I think Brad's going 5. Yeah, I'm interested to see, man. The Honcho said amazing problem to have is a group of solid wide receivers. It really is, man. It really is. And the last spot, I like Dominic Lovett. So if they keep 7, I wouldn't be shocked. But I feel like that's just way too many to keep. It really is. I think you just have to get into a position where you're like, hey, who's gonna end up getting back to the practice squad? I want to do this though, because actually this leads right into one of the things I wanted to do tonight. The next 2 things I want to do is look at the 53-man roster projections, and we're going to look at the wide receiver with them. And I also want to look at the bubble watch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Pride of Detroit. They had put up both of those articles out. I think they did a great job with the bubble watch. I said earlier, they have 11 writers at their website, or around 11, and they have all of them vote on the final players that are at the kind of edge of the 45 to 53 man parts of the roster, and they have them actually vote on who they think's in and out. So I want to start with the 53 man with them, and we can see, we talked about the quarterbacks, we talked about the wide receiver. Let's pull this up here for the people real quick. All right. 53 man. If you guys see anything in the chat, I will pull the chat up. I will listen. Like I said, it's the week of Boone. I'm solo all week. We've got a bunch of guests joining the show. If you're just tuning in, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe. Jeff is out for the week. And I have, like I said at the beginning of the show, I have about 8 or 9 guests lined up. We had Corey from M Live join just a little bit ago. That covers the team. Tomorrow we have, let me see. I know we have Scott Bischoff joining tomorrow. Oh, what's happening here? We're getting hit with an ad. What's happening there? All right, we're good. We're back. Game on. All right. Scott Bischoff tomorrow. Let me make sure I have the right. Sean Murphy tomorrow, second half of the show as well. This one is not SI MC3 Who Dat. This is Pride of Detroit. This is their, we can pull up the docs on the SI here in a little bit, and we can kind of compare as well. I do like to do that. I always look at all of them. I want to get a feel. I want to get a feel for how all the different writers and people that are literally at camp every day. I'm going to be there Thursday. I can't be there every day. So we have these beat writers that do a great job. So first one here, quarterbacks, they only have them keeping 2 and cutting Henden Hooker. I think I'm fine with that. I'm out on Henden Hooker. I think that a lot of people in the chat kind of said the same thing, but I mean, if you can get him on the practice squad, cool. If not, all right. You at some point you got to cut ties if the guy's not developing. Jahmyr Gibbs, running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Craig Sionivaki. I think that's fine. Wide receiver room. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have them keeping 7. They have them keeping 7. I'm going to hit Jeremy up and ask him about this because we actually talked to him about it last week. So they have him keeping Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Tim, Khalif, Isaac, Jackson Meeks, and Dominic Lovett. I don't know if this seems just 7 seems like a lot. It seems, I don't want to say it's like unrealistic because it could happen. Obviously, you can do it. There's no rules behind it. But Jiminy Christmas or crickets, what is the saying? 7 is crazy. That is crazy. I'm with MC3, man. I think I'm good. I think 6. And it's either Meeks or Lovett out. But 7. I wonder what the doc has. Let me see if I can pull up the doc so we can just go back and forth here. We can do Lions on SI and we can do Pride of Detroit. And we can get a good feel for this. I bet you guys, who wants to put something on it? I bet you the doc has 7 as well. He feels like a guy that wants 7 wide receivers. It wasn't him that did it, though. It was Christian. His guy, Christian, did it. All right. Share this tab instead. Can you guys see this one now? This is the docs. Quarterback. He has Henden Hooker out. He has Craig Reynolds and Vaki. Wide receiver. He has 1. Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Tim, Khalif, Isaac, and Jackson Meeks. The doc has Dominic Lovett out. I'm more so on the doc side of this one. Someone said could mean practice squad. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it means. I think 6 because Leaf does both. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things too, and I don't think people actually are talking about this enough, is one of the reasons you would have Dominic Lovett is he can return. And then on punt, gunner. But I think people tend to forget Khalif Raymond's an all-pro returner. He's your punt returner. So Dominic Lovett, if you didn't have Khalif Raymond, Dominic Lovett's in. Or if Khalif wasn't going to return, but that's such a big piece, right, of special teams is being able to return at a high level. And if that's part of Dominic Lovett's job, but you already have Khalif, then why would you keep a guy that does the same thing? It doesn't make much sense. That's kind of where my brain goes to. I mean, he still has a week to be able to kind of get this thing going. So we'll see. All right, let's go back here. Let's go look at Pride of Detroit's tight ends. They have Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, and Shane Zylstra. I think that's perfectly fine. We've seen a lot of Zach Horton. Last week. Offensive tackle, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Dan Skipper, Giovanni Manu. This is one I want to compare as well. I don't know if people realize, but another reason Jeff's not here, Giovanni Manu is the 4th tackle or the 5th tackle on this team. 4th, 5th. Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Dan Skipper, Jamarco Jones, and it's Giovanni Manu. That's an interesting one. And we see here the doc. He has Penei, Taylor. This is 2 tackles. Dan Skipper, Manu, Jamarco Jones. So he has 5 tackles. Pride of Detroit has 4. All right, that's interesting. All right, back to Pride of Detroit. Interior, Graham, Christian Mahogany, Tate, Yodi, Kingsley, Tristan Cologne. I think he's hurt, so I think that's why he's out. Miles Frazier, Pup. Edge rusher, this is one of the big ones. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, AQM, and Nate Lynn. I have seen a lot of people crossing Ahmed Hassanein off of the list to make the 53-man based off of the injury. It does not sound good. It does not sound good. Nick P said, I would keep Jamarco Jones in practice squad Manu and protect him. We need to figure out how this practice squad thing works. And I'm going to do that the next 24 hours, Nick P. Because I think if you don't put him on the practice squad, I think someone can put him on as 53-man. If you don't keep a guy on your 53-man, it gives the opportunity for other franchises around the NFL to add them to your 53-man. I don't think you can protect guys. I don't. Or if a guy has an opportunity to sign on a 53-man, I think they're allowed to take that opportunity over your practice squad. I'm gonna text the doc or I'm gonna ask someone on that. But I'm with you, Nick P. Like, he doesn't need to see the field. Giovanni Manu does not need to see the field this year. I'm not worried about that. I just want to make sure you could protect 4 each week. All right. I kind of like that then. Protect Gio. Protect the man. I'm in on that. All right. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let me get that comment off. Cartier said, are we really going thin on O-line and D-line? I don't think they do. I think they need to keep some dudes. I really do. I think they do. Defensive tackle, DJ Reader, Ty Leak, Roy Lopez, Pat O'Connor, and Keith Cooper. I think this is chalk, man. I think Pat O, Keith make it. Did Nate Lynn not make the team on this? No, Nate Lynn did. Edge rusher. I think that's a good one, too. Yeah. So they kept 5 plus 2 pup, 7, 12 defensive linemen, essentially, counting 2 pup. Linebacker. I think this is how it's going to work. Anzo, Jack, Derek, Grant, Trevor, Zach. Listen, I don't think there's that many battles going on right now. They have Eric Hallett not making it, Nick Whiteside not making it, and then the safety, they have Ian Kennelly. Sorry. That's interesting, man. That is. So they said you could protect him on initial practice roster. He has to clear waivers. That's where I think the clearing the waivers is tough when you start to put guys on practice rosters. That's the one. That's the one I'm curious on how that kind of goes, that goes down there. And okay, we saw 53 man. I want to pull up this bubble roster stuff here real quick with Pride of Detroit because I think they did a great job at breaking this thing down. Let me pull it up for you guys real quick. I think this is one of the coolest things that I've seen. Give me a second. There's a solo boon. Solo boon. All right, here we go. So you see here, oh, I can't play that. Lions Bubble Watch Week 5, big decisions ahead, especially DB. You see here, Jeremy, Eric, Ryan, Alex, Morgan, John, Max, Brandon, Hamza, Miko, Al. They go in and out to see who's going to make the squad. Starting off at the edge rusher, assumed in, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport. AQM got all 11 votes to get in, which I would have voted for AQM. I would vote for Josh Pascal. I would vote for Nate Lynn. Only 2 people voted for Ahmed Hassanein. And that's just because of his injury. So I think Nate Lynn is that final roster spot there. No Mitchell Agude, no Isaac Ukwu. I'll tell you what, Jeff and I had this conversation about Mitchell Agude and Isaac Ukwu. These guys show up in the preseason games. They really do. Every year. Year after year, these guys show up. Then they get themselves a spot, and they just end up not making the team practice squad. One of these guys eventually are going to get picked up by a squad. I don't know which one. One of them will, but those 2 guys always show up. Defensive tackle, assumed in. DJ Reader, Ty Leak, Roy Lopez, out, obviously the pup, Levi O. Aleem. The voting for it. Broderick Martin. I mean, saw Broderick Martin got hurt today at practice as well. Broderick Martin, 0 votes. Chris Smith, 0 votes. Mekhi Wingo, 1 vote. He's hurt at the moment. So if you guys are Mekhi fans, shout out Mekhi, friend of the program, watches the show. Mekhi, 1 vote, just injury. So he's not going to make it, obviously. But the final 2, Keith Cooper, Pat O'Connor. Pat O'Connor with 11 votes, which I believe there was actually a point of the camp where people had him on the bubble. No longer on the bubble. Pat O's in. Him and his Air Forces. What is this? So someone said, are we talking about Ahmed Hassanein, his injury? Was there reports on it? Was there any news that came out about it today or recently? I haven't seen anything. So we're going to act like we didn't see that. Linebacker, Jack Campbell, Anzo, Derek Barnes, Grant Stewart, assumed out, Malcolm Rodriguez. And the final spots, Trevor Nowaski, shout out, go Cards. And Zach Cunningham are the final 2. Ezekiel Turner and Anthony Pittman, both 0 votes and out, which I agree with that. Cornerbacks, voting, Khalil Dorsey, 11. Eric Hallett, 6. That's going to be a close one, guys. Something to keep an eye on. Eric Hallett and Nick Whiteside, if they keep an extra corner. If they keep an extra corner, then one of those guys this week's going to win a spot. And then the finals position safeties, Brian Branch, Kirby, and Avonte Maddox are in. Ian Kennelly is the last guy in, it looks like. So is there anyone in the chat that you guys think need to make the team that we didn't talk about there? I'm interested in that. Have that conversation. I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. AG's Burner said, I vote Ukwu. Full tear would be a season. Oh, they're talking about the Ahmed Hassanein thing. Ukwu deserves to be elevated. I think Isaac Ukwu, and I was an Isaac Ukwu fan last year. I think he deserves an opportunity. I just don't know if there's room. You get 53 guys, man. And if you bring Za'Darius in, he's for sure not making the squad. 100%. Sailors. Yeah, Sailors has been playing well. I think he's just a practice squad guy, though. Ukwu should make it. I'm telling you guys, Ukwu is good. You don't want Ukwu. You want Za'Darius Smith. I like Ukwu. Don't want him, though. I want Za'Darius Smith. That's what I want. I want Za'Darius. All right. Last thing I want to do here, just because, listen, there was practice today. I think I pulled up the wrong thing. I did. Did I put the wrong article in there? I did. I put the wrong doc article. I 100% put the wrong doc article. That's okay. Let's pull it up. All right. I don't know if you guys saw the Tim Patrick stuff. That's something that we need to have a conversation about, and I want to. There are people today that talked about Tim Patrick not making the squad. Listen, I can't. I'll pull the video up so that people can see it. I think it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. I really do. Let me play this video too, because Tim Patrick, he comes back today, and the doc put it out there that he came back and made a couple plays. If you guys didn't see this play, and if someone had a question, oh, Tim Patrick going to make the squad, just watch this and we can just end it, please. I don't want to do this back and forth with people. I've been the guy that's saying Isaac Tesla over Tim Patrick. To say that this guy's not going to make the team is one of the most, it's the craziest thing in the world. I mean, look at this. Can we watch this again? And look. Look at this. Who is this? Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in. You guys see this? My guy Isaac Tesla is just cheering the guy on. That's a good teammate right there. This guy, if you think about this guy's not going to make the squad, look at this catch, man. Who's that on? Who is that on? Who got exposed there? 35? Hold on, I got a roster card here. Ty Russell. Watch it one more time for the people. Bang. All right. Is there anyone in this chat? And this is where this week the chat comes evolved and becomes evolved a lot. Who's in this chat that doesn't think Tim Patrick would make the roster? Please, I wish you guys could call in, make a statement on why. I would love to see. I don't think we have 155 people watching. I appreciate everyone watching. I don't think there's a world or there should be a person who says TP is not going to make it. That would be ridiculous if there was. Ridiculous. I do want to bring something up here for the people that I just saw before I hopped on the show as well. This is a detour. This is my mind working right now. You guys aren't used to having Booner as the host. This is my mind working, but I saw a video before I hopped on here. There's a new Detroit Lions podcast that's going to be happening. I'm competing with them now. This is my competitor. And no, it's not Jeff with the Lions Collective. Listen to this.
This is what we need to talk about.
Oh God, here we go. What is it?
I want you to be on my podcast that I got coming out.
When do you come? When is this happening?
Me and Pat Surtain have a podcast coming out together.
Oh,
For what? When are you going to record it? I'll be on immediately. Whenever you want. Who decided that?
It was just some people who kind of worked out the logistics and stuff.
Are you
But
being
yeah,
serious?
no, that's it. Me and Pat
They're
have
just recording it in season?
yes. Me and
Do
Pat have a
we have a name
podcast
for it?
coming out. They're trying to name it Bama Boys, but I don't like that.
Bama Boys.
Yeah,
I was
don't
just
want
with
that
him
anymore.
a couple weeks ago. Last week he's ready to go too.
Yeah.
Do you guys play them?
No, we don't play them.
You don't play them.
But yeah, are you gonna come on the podcast?
I will come when I've said it here first. Absolutely.
Then I get to ask all the questions.
What kind of questions do you want to ask me?
I'm gonna ask you.
Tyron, you're so intense. It's so crazy. What kind of give me one question that you would like to ask?
Oh, all right. If I'm being serious, I'm gonna be like, so okay. I mean, what really got you started into this?
Oh.
Like, you do a very, very great job with your presentation, your skills. You do a lot of studying.
That's so
I want to
nice.
know what made you become like this.
Yeah, I was on a roof with my grandfather, and no, I'm kidding.
No, I was
I
gonna
don't
say
have-
your granddad was a roofer too.
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
A farmer, actually. I have work ethic, I think, from my parents who were immigrants from Poland, and they
Oh.
worked really hard, and I saw how hard they worked.
Have you ever
and
been to
that's it.
Poland before?
Yeah, many times.
See how I just took the
My whole
interview over?
family lives it. Keep
See?
going. I love this.
But that's how my podcast would be like. It would be more so like, while I ask you a question, I'm gonna ask you another question while I'm asking you a
That
question.
sounds horrible.
I like it
That
though.
sounds horrible.
Terry, not gonna say it. Shout out to Terrion. Terrion and Pat Surtain started a podcast. That I don't know why my brain went to that. I just wanted to make sure the people knew that. Had to share that with the people. That's all. Wanted to make sure the people knew that. Let's keep this thing rolling here. That was definitely someone put in the chat a squirrel moment. Yeah, I was just a little distracted. Let's turn the tables here. I want to keep because Kay Adams actually spoke with a lot of different Lions players today. One of the things that was interesting to me, Super Bowl Wilson said, I want him watching film, not podcasting. To be fair, Amon-Ra St. Brown has podcasted the last 2 seasons. He's back-to-back All-Pro. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it'll help him out a little bit. Just hey, keep his mind right. Keep his mind right. You guys did. Amon-Ra did it. Back-to-back All-Pro seasons. Speaking of Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs spoke with Kay Adams. We're going to talk about this a little bit with Jared Goff because I know a lot of people. Hey, Booner solo show. I love Jared Goff. Not like that, but I think he's a top 7 quarterback, top 8 in the NFL. And there are a lot of people that when they do these, and Kay actually brings it up, talking about the rankings and the tier list, that Jared gets a little bit of a disrespect, bad rep. She asked these guys about it, and they kind of were just straight up about why Jared Goff gets disrespected, where he needs to be on these lists. Because, I mean, whether you think it or not, this guy's a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Undisputed. So I'm going to play this video for you guys. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs on Jared Goff.
Many years now?
Going on.
I wanted to talk to you guys about Jared Goff, of course. I got to talk to him a couple months ago. He's in quarterback 2. He's like the star. He's impossible not to root for. I love him so much. But Amon-Ra, you've been with him for a while now, right? How many years now?
Going on to 5.
Going on to 5, which is amazing. Is there something that you've noticed that has stuck out to you that is new this year? It doesn't have to be anything. Is he the same guy? Is there a little...
Yeah, I would say he's pretty much the same guy. Nothing's really changed. Jared is Jared. He's going to be himself each and every year, I feel like. If not, everyone's striving to get better. So
No tweaks?
No, I mean, no real tweaks. He's a father now, so you got a little more arm strength. But other than that, he's Jared. You know what you're going to get out of Jared. I feel like he's one of the best quarterbacks in this league. I mean, I love catching the ball from him. He's elite.
Jahmyr, why should he trust you to babysit instead of Amon-Ra? What's your pitch?
Naturally, I mean, when I was younger, I took care of all my sisters, my cousins, so I think I'll just be a good fit for that. So.
I love that. Well, Goff just wins games, carries himself right, takes you guys to the big stuff. But I'm looking at these quarterback tier lists this morning. He's just not on them, and he's not where he should be, and we all know that. What is one specific thing, Jahmyr, that you think Jared should be getting more love for?
Just the way he spreads the ball around and how he takes care of the ball and his anticipation. I think that makes him very special. He's very smart. So one of the smartest people I've ever been around.
All right, let's have this conversation real quick, Jared Goff, because I think a lot of people get caught up a little bit in the quarterbacks. Obviously, seeing guys like Josh Allen, seeing guys like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, they get caught up in all the fancy hey, this guy has a great arm. Hey, this guy's, uber talented. He could run. He could do this. He could do that. And I think a lot of people forget, hey, at that quarterback position, in my opinion, and this is where a lot of people disagree, wins, in my opinion, is a quarterback stat because, look at the Commanders game. That's a stat on Jared Goff. That was a loss for him. And everyone wants to use it. And shout out to guys like Easy. But Easy's a guy, I think, and I could be wrong, but he has told me in the past, wins are a quarterback stat. But he's also the first one on the other side to say, oh, well, he was the reason you lost the game. Okay, so that counts towards him, right? It does. Yes, it does. So if that does, you have to look at, he has won 15 regular season games last year. He won, 12, 13 the year before, 10 the year before. Yes, you could talk about an AG's burner just put in there 0-1 in Super Bowls, and he did lose you that game. But the way that his teammates, guys like Ahmed, Ahmed is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And him to come out and say, and all these people, oh, he throws ducks, he can't throw the ball. For people to come out and kind of go at Jared Goff because his spiral isn't great, but then, hey, his all-pro wide receivers coming out saying, hey, I love to catch passes from him. I love it. He's one of the smartest guys in the room or in the league. And he throws a great ball. I love the way he throws it. His anticipation, this, that. Everything, in my opinion, outside of the athleticism that you're talking about with the guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, they're like, hey, this guy's great at. I just want to know, this is a simple question. At what point do people just start giving the guy credit? At what point? I wish Easy was in the chat right now. I wish we had some people who always go at Jared Goff. And Coach Walk, what do you expect him to say? Yeah, obviously he's going to stand up for his quarterback. Obviously. But he doesn't need to go into he doesn't need to say all that, and he does, because it's the truth. It's the same thing when Dan speaks to the media. He's going to speak the truth. How far of the truth does he want to tell? He's not going to say something that he doesn't believe in. Right? He's not Ahmed Ra's not just going to be say all those things all of a sudden if he doesn't believe in them just to say them. No, he obviously believes all of those things. These guys love Jared Goff. And at what point is the respect factor come into play? Because even national media, Kay Adams brought it up, even national media, they're putting him on tier 4, tier 5, tier 6. And you're like, at what point? This guy's led the NFL in passing yards over the last 2 seasons. Or first or second in passing touchdowns. At what point does the respect factor come into play? And I wish I could sit down with Easy and have this conversation. I wish I could sit down with different people who still question Jared Goff. Andrew Jones, the city chants his name. The city respects him. That's all that matters. I would say they did. I don't know after the Commanders game if people do still as much. I do. There are still a lot of people who use that game. A lot of people who say, hey, quarterback wins aren't a stat, but then we'll use that against him. AG's burner, but when he has a dud, it's usually pretty bad. Just like almost every good quarterback. They have duds, and it's not good, and they probably lose a game because of it. The timing of the dud is the tough part in the Commanders game in the playoffs. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I just think people forget what this guy can do. So it's at some point, you're going to look dumb. But those same people who say stuff about him in the offseason will, during the season, and I want you guys to keep an eye on this. Watch what happens. When Jared Goff starts playing good, some of these people who say negative things about him all offseason will start to fade towards positive things. And then as soon as something goes wrong, that's what you call a flip-flopper. That's what you call a follower, a front runner. Those are names I like to use. They're not mean. And he has bad games. Everyone does. Everyone does. Can't be perfect. Can't do it. All right, I'm going to show another clip here from the Kay Adams stuff. Let me see if I can find it here. And this is a little around the NFL. Action. I don't know if people saw it. D-Rod said when he wins the Super Bowl, that's when they give him his respect or credit. Yeah, I agree. You have to win the Super Bowl to be able to get it. But at some point, you could still say, hey, the guy could play ball. You could still play. And you got to give him credit at some point. Because if you're going to say, hey, Jared has to win it to get credit, why do other players on the team get credit and they haven't helped win it as well? See what I'm saying? It was an MVP candidate. But other teams get credit. You see what I'm saying? It's such a hey, let's give credit to these guys and nothing negative on these guys, but we won't with Jared Goff. It's dumb. It's not some people just aren't smart, man. All right, I want to play this. I don't know if you guys saw, if anyone saw, and again, this is one of those things. I just shared the wrong one. Give me a second, guys. Like TDing and producing the show while doing the solo show, so I want to make sure I get this right. I don't know. This isn't a coincidence, too, talking about this with Jeff out today. But the Chicago Bears, if people watch the first drive with Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, I will admit, and I was in the car with Jeff during the first drive. We were driving home from Arcadia Bluffs. He might have said, hey, I might be becoming a fan of the Chicago Bears. He might have said that. I'm not taking words out of his mouth, but I thought I heard that. And he said, hey, if Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams weren't on the Bears, I would be a bigger fan of it. Don't tell him I said that. He's probably listening right now. But they did have a first good couple drives, and honestly, Anakin, he did admit it. He's not here to defend himself, so I'll just say he did admit it. He can't defend himself till next week. But yeah, the first couple drives, Ben Johnson, it kind of, and this is where I started, and I was thinking about it when we were watching it in our car, in the car drive home. It looked like a Lions offense. They just have our offense now in Chicago. They just have our offense in Chicago now. Ben Johnson just said, I'm just going to do exactly what we did in Detroit with Caleb Williams. Smart. Honestly, smart. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs as well. They sat down with Kay Adams. You guys already saw it. They actually talked about it. And she asked him, did you guys watch the game last night? Did you guys see that? Nick P said, Booner was against Buffalo's second team. If you can do that against Minnesota, then we will talk. Listen, Nick P, I said the same thing to Jeff last night. I said this is against their backups. I said, you're talking about this drive. I said, so this is against Buffalo's second team defense. And on top of that, that's their scripted drive to start the game. You would expect, if they didn't score a touchdown, that'd be a big issue. But Kay Adams did ask Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown about if they watched it and if they noticed anything kind of specific that Ben Johnson did. So here are them on that.
Did you guys watch the first drive by the Bears? Did you guys watch Ben? Are you guys like catching on to this like Ben Johnson stuff, his intensity? Like, what do you guys make of that?
Yeah,
I mean, the smiles kind of say it all. Like,
we watched it.
What do you guys think?
You know, watching the fellow Trojan Caleb, watching Ben, watching the offense operate.
What's your takeaway?
I mean, it looked good. It looked good.
It's funny watching like the same plays like we ran. Work. It's funny.
Same plays. Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully, it only looks good for
exactly
2 more weeks.
Did you guys watch the?
All right, can we address something too, real quick? To the people who were actually saying that Ben's going to be able to stop our offense because it's similar and he already knows everything to it. Do you know how easy it's going to be for the Detroit Lions to stop the Chicago Bears team? We have the best defense in the NFC North, in my opinion, potentially. And you don't think Dan Campbell and Kelvin Shepard, who's gone up against the Ben Johnson offense and does it throughout all of training camp, that they're going to be ready to stop this? And Amon-Ra and Jahmyr literally just, hey, we saw literally the same plays that we run. They're literally just doing what we do. That's it. I'll say this. I think the Chicago Bears offense is going to be good this year, if that's the case, because it's a good offense, right? It's a good scheme. Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. If you guys watched it yesterday, I think they have the weapons to be good offensively. The second best team in the NFC North, I don't know. Will they compete for a wild card and win 8 or 9 games? Yes. Colston Loveland, Xavier D just put in there, looked good. Cole Kmet looked good. Zakaris, I think is how you pronounce his name. Not sure. Came from Washington. He looked really good. They said on the broadcast they think Luther Burden is going to be good, but they said Luther Burden, that Ryan Poles believes Luther Burden's going to be the best wide receiver on that team. That he's a mixture of DJ Moore and Robo Dunze. So they have the weapons and they have a good offensive line now. Finally, they're protecting him. So offensively, I think they're going to be fine. I'm just interested. The thing that really stood out to me in that situation was just them saying, "Hey, this is the same exact offense that the Lions run." So it's interesting. ETN, I still don't trust their run game. Yeah, the run game with DeAndre Swift is interesting. They did have a rookie running yesterday. Who was that? Let me pull that up real quick. And by the way, too, while we are waiting, make sure you guys, we're towards the end of the show, drop your mailbag questions. Drop them all. As many as you guys can. I'll answer almost everything. Was that Kyle Mc? Yes, it was from Rutgers. He didn't look bad. Average 5 yards a carry. Yeah, he did not look that bad. Yeah, start dropping some mailbag questions. I'll start answering some questions and we'll wrap the show up here. Just so you guys know and remember, it's solo Boone for the week. And we do have, like I said, 8 or 9 guests throughout the week. I'll read them off again just so you guys know. Tuesday, we're going to be rolling Scott Bischoff at 8:30. Sean Murphy's going to join for the second half of the show. Wednesday, the Doc all day. Michael Gentry might be joining the show Wednesday as well. Thursday, Nolan Bianchi, 8:30, Dose of Dion, 9:15. And as well as, and I actually just got the message from him to confirm everything's all good with that. Anthony Broom covers Michigan Wolverines on the Wolverine On 3 and On 3 Sports Network to talk some college football, talk Michigan football, all of that stuff. I'm going to ask him a lot about the Michigan sanctions that just happened as well. And then obviously preview the college football season that starts this week. Week 0 this week. And then Friday, Chris Castellani is going to be joining for this whole second half of the show, I believe. And Michael Gentry as well, I believe, might be joining. So we'll have a packed week. A couple guests actually joining for majority of the show. Sean Murphy's going to hop on for a while. And Chris Castellani on Friday will be joining for a while, chopping it up. Just a lot of different things with them as well. So, all right, keep dropping some mailbag questions here. Let me go back and see what we have. All right. Let's see. What's the first one here? Where is it? Mailbag. Lowe's or Home Depot? I'm going to go Home Depot. I went to Home Depot growing up my whole life. And as well as, too, you go to Home Depot, you get the hot dog on the walk out or walk in. They have a good little hot dog stand. It's always good, man. I got a boy, Juan Boone. You killed it today. I appreciate that. Day one of 5. A week with Boone. Mailbag, Booner, what's your longest drive approximately? Are we talking golf, right? Or are we talking driving a car? It's an interesting question. Longest drive approximately? I don't know. I don't know if I get over 300 much. Probably have at one point, but fun fact, when I golf, I don't use a driver right now. Driver's broken. Hit the deck, bottom of it kind of snapped a little bit. That's on me. I'll get better. I will get better with that. Longest drive in a car, though, probably like 12 hours down to Panama City or Panama City up to Saginaw. Straight through. Drove the whole time. Straight shot after a long week. Mr. Detroit City said, get the Hat and Beard show on this week. Normally he goes lives 10 to 11 a.m. Awesome dude, almost 700 subs. Mr. Detroit City, you did recommend him to us a couple months ago. I have watched some of his shows in the morning. I've tuned in a couple times. Good, does a good job. Good guy, it looks like. We'll have to reach out at some point, connect with him. Mailbag. Patty Grimes, Costco or Sam's Club? I don't know if I don't think I can give an opinion on this. I haven't been to, I would say Costco. I've been to both, not a lot, just been inside. Costco seems a little bit better. And the Costco dudes, the boom. Those guys are pretty entertaining. Teddy, do you think Dan has the final say on the draft? He was calling Jalen Carter a turd. No, listen, I don't think it has anything to do with the final say when they're in the draft room. I think it's honestly, and as much as people might disagree with this, I do think it's a Dan and Brad like mutual decision. I think Brad, and honestly, I think it's more so Brad. I think Brad has like, hey, I think Dan trusts him. Brad brings guys to Dan. Dan watches them, and if Dan likes them, obviously they're going to go with them. But I do believe that Brad still has the final say, and it's his guys that he's picking. Teddy said, have you ever vacationed outside of America? I've been to Canada. That's about it. I would like to go. I have a couple spots I would like to go. Australia. Have a lot of friends in Australia. I would like to go to Italy. A few spots. Only been to Canada, though. I would like to go to, I was thinking about it today, actually. I would like to go to Paris. Paris, France. The Eiffel Tower. That would be sick. That would be sweet. DM5 TV said, do you believe in Goff against Philly or Washington in the playoffs? I do. Listen, I don't think last year, I get it, and I get where people's concerns may be when it comes to Goff and the turnovers versus Washington last year. Just because he had that one game doesn't mean that he can't go and beat a team like Philly or Washington. That's not what that means. We've seen it before. People forget, like we've seen him win those games. If you had a healthy defense, if the Lions had a healthy defense last year, you beat the Commanders. Even with not with the turnovers, but you're probably not in a position to where you need to force shots downfield or where you are turning the ball over, if that makes sense. I get people having that concern, but it's just one of those things to where it's easy after that game just to say, oh, he can never beat those teams. It's like, let's be realistic. Jared Goff has won big games. Coach Walk, lady chains are super cuts. I will not comment, but I do go to a barber. Me and Jeff go to the same barber. Shout out Spencer, watches the show. That's our guy. That's where we go. Cartier, if money wasn't a factor, what would you do for work? I would just still do what I do now if money wasn't a factor. I love what I do. I would rather do this my whole life. I enjoy what I do. Genuinely. Nick P. Goff was pressing against the Commanders because he felt like he had to score every drive. That is hard to do. That's exactly my point with the thing is those turnovers are coming because he is forcing shots that he does not need to take. To where if you have a defense, which the defense was just getting cut up by Jane Daniels all night long. If you have a defense, then you're sitting there going, okay, we're getting stops. It's a 1-possession game or it's a tie game. Instead of it being a 2-3 possession game, we can run the ball. You don't have to pass the ball. You can continue to run the ball and make those plays. Teddy said Washington is in shambles right now with the cap. Do you see Brian Robinson and Terry both getting traded? They both want out. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to me. I saw Brian Robinson is not playing or sitting out this week as well, or something's going on with that. That's interesting. This is that thing. Listen, this is what I talk about with Brad. When people talk about the Trey Hendrickson stuff, the Michael Parsons stuff, this is literally the things that you need to be thinking about. And that's why I'm so adamant about the Aleem McNeil contract and the Derek Barnes contract. It has nothing to do with the players or how good they are or what it is, but it has to do with the money. And when you look at, hey, what does the production come with it? Is it worth losing other guys or having situations where guys want to sit out, want to get traded? You get into those moments and you could screw yourself quick. Trent Smith, how's the golf game, Boone? I'll tell you what, we played yesterday at Arcadia Bluffs. I think I golfed at 105, and I will say within that, we did have some mulligans in there. And I'll say it felt like one of the worst rounds I had all season. And that's probably more so just because of where we were playing. But I couldn't figure it out. Just couldn't figure it out. Shout out IB3 for having us. He's probably like, dude, this Booner guy sucks. Jeff sucks. But we'll be back and we'll play better. U of M Dad, Booner, are we bringing back Booner bets? U of M Dad, am I wrong? I think you've won a lot of money in Booner bets. I could be wrong. I believe you've sent me messages of slips of you making like insane amounts of money from some of the bets I've given you. So yes, I will be bringing it back. Maybe Friday we'll do a week 0 college football Booner bets segment. I also, too, I will say this. I think Saturday mornings at some point, probably week 1 and not week 0, but probably week 1, we're going to start doing potentially. It's not locked in yet. I'm still trying to figure out logistics of people, but I want to do a college football game day show for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours every Saturday morning. So when you wake up, have your coffee, all of that before you start watching college game day. Tune into here. We'll be live talking college football, bets, games to look out for, players, all of that, Heisman race, everything. We used to do that when we were at Woodward. I did the Saturday mornings. It was short-lived, not by my decision, but it was short-lived. But I would like to bring that back. I like doing Saturday mornings, especially, and I want to make it to where we can rotate out and have other people do some college football stuff as well. So it's not just the same person every week. We have an actual game day pre-game show for that. DM5 TV, if you could do a 1v1 trade for another quarterback, who would it be? I'm taking Holmes and Lamar. I'm taking Josh Allen. Josh Allen on this team would win a Super Bowl instantly. That's not a hot take either. When is the Anytime Fitness sponsorship coming? Anytime can be crunch time. That's a good one. I don't know. We're working on some sponsorships behind the scenes. We're working on some stuff, so we'll have some announcements over the next month or so. We'll figure that out. Andrew Jones said, "Yeah, I'd be there for college football content or college content." Yeah, we're working on that too. We're gonna figure something out for some college football stuff. Hopefully, we get that soon, and we'll have something planned and announce some things for you guys the next week or two. Teddy said, "Did you guys cover the 2023 or 2022 draft on this channel? I enjoy watching old NFL reactions to the draft." We did not. We were at our former employers at Woodward for those two drafts. Those are the two drafts we were over there for, which they were fun drafts. I enjoyed them. I did, especially 2023. I believe that was the Jahmyr Gibbs one. We were over at, I think we did the show at Fifth Ave in Royal Oak. It was a good time. It was something else, though. I'll tell you what. That was an interesting one. Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs. And then I think I hosted day 2 when we got Sam Laporta, Brian Branch. Who else we get? Henden Hooker traded for, and then got Hendon Hooker. That was an interesting draft. That really was. Sebastian said Cash Dowell's back with Smith. Let's bring him home. I think this guy signs by the end of the week. They need to make sure that happens. Mr. Detroit City, will we get a Baydoun appearance for the Super Bowl, please, for the people? Listen, there's nothing. I don't know. I can't promise anything. Can't promise anything. Shout out to Adam, though, man. Love the guy. Love him. All right, we got a couple minutes left. There's a couple. I'll stay a little over if there's a couple more mailbags here. It's been a fun show, though. It really has. First solo show of the week, 1 out of 5. It should be fun. Tomorrow we have Scott Bischoff joining the show, Sean Murphy joining the show for an hour. Thursday we have three or four guests on Thursday. Wednesday we have the Doc. I'm going to see if the Doc wants to come on for the whole show too. I might do that. I might text him and ask him. Xavier D, can you really drink root beer with a meal? Isn't it too overpowering? What a question. Is this a thing? Can you drink root beer with a meal? I've drank root beer with the meal. It's never overpowering. I like root beer. I like the root beer floats. Those are good. That would be something. Would be funny if we got Z and Meeks, his nephew, misses the cut. Listen, I think this could be a hot take. I wonder if Za'Darius is waiting to see if Jackson Meeks makes the team. And he's doing it. He's leveraging. I'm not saying that's happening. There's a word for that. I'm not saying that's what's happening. But that would be something, wouldn't it? What's the word for that? Do people in the chat know? What's the word for that? There's a word for that. Family helping family in the business. I'm not great with words. Nepotism. I knew that the whole time. I was testing you, Cartier. Great job, Cartier. Yeah, I don't know if that's something that's happening, but imagine both of them make the team. That would be crazy. And I'm sure it would be cool for both of them as well. His uncle, nephew on the team. That would be sick for both of them. It definitely would. U of M dad, appreciate it. Good show, Boone. You did a good job. No arguing. You know what? Can I be honest with the people? We still have a lot of people in here. I hated this show because we didn't get to argue. I have no one to argue with. I don't like that. I enjoy it back and forth a little bit. Gets my blood flowing. I feel good about it when I get to argue, man. So I'm disappointed about today. I wish someone in the chat would have got me going a little bit. No one did. Everyone agreed with me. Did you guys argue on the way back yesterday? No, we didn't actually. We just listened to music on the way back. It was a good time. It was actually a great time. No arguing. We did go back and forth a little bit about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams because they were playing, but smooth car ride. Smooth car ride. All right, but hopefully tomorrow I get to argue with someone. If someone in the chat wants to get something going, and I got Sean Murphy coming on the second half of the show, I bet you me and him can get in a little bit of a debate. That would be sick. That would be a fun time. All right, that will be it for today's show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. By the way, too, if you are still tuned in right now, the 124 people, we have a jersey giveaway going on Twitter and Instagram right now. Make sure you guys go over there and subscribe to it. Go do it. All you have to do is retweet, I believe, follow us, subscribe to the channel, and you're good to go. And if you do it on Instagram and Twitter, it's a double chance to win. We get one winner out of the two, so you have a double chance to win if you do it on both. So make sure you guys go enter that giveaway, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back 8 o'clock. Scott Bischoff joining the show around 8:30, and Sean Murphy will be on for the second hour of the show. I would say he's a guest. Kind of be like the co-host for tomorrow for the second hour. Appreciate you guys, though. Love you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.